This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's the week of August 21st, 2020, and it's the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Austin, Texas, it's author and podcaster Jamie Ivey.
Hey, guys.
And from Nashville, Tennessee, artist and producer and entrepreneur, mogul, Derek Miner.
Hello, Clarice.
Derek is eating cereal as we talk right now. So, well, we have a great show coming up for you today. Coming up later, we talked to church movement, Nashville church movement, worship band, the Belonging Co. They're coming up. We talked to them about worship in the pandemic. Kind of a unique situation going on. And also, we're joined by author Sam Collier, author and pastor, I should say. He has a crazy story you will not want to miss. There's some underlying message of relying on God's providence and dark moments, but wait till you hear his story. Let's just say it involves the Steve Harvey show. Okay, so last week we took so much time at the beginning of the show before, we had to cut a segment later. So I'm not even going to let that happen. We are, for the first time ever, no banter. We're going straight to it. It is time for...
It's the hot list, It's sizzling.
It's time for our senior editor, Tyler Huckabee, to join us to bring us some of the top stories over at relevantmagazine.com. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, everybody.
So what's going on this week?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is sort of it's not a lightning flash news story, but it's something that's been sort of rising over the last few decades, actually, and over the past just couple of weeks now has become a much louder movement that I would be interested to hear y'all's thoughts on. And this is the movement to get the Southern Baptist Convention to change its name. So let me give you just a little bit of background here. So we're all on the same page.
Is it going to be like an action verb, like edgy, like momentum conference?
Yeah. Forward to change. The something that we can come up. We can do it, but there's no one now.
Connect a spiritually motivated community now meeting in your strip mall movie theater. That's I mean, I'm not the OJ, but you know what I'm saying? You're driving around town, and you're like, oh, what is this? Is this a new technology store? Is this some sort of what is this? And you're like, oh, it's just a new kind of hip church that are using real estate signs to promote themselves on Sunday morning. I don't mind it. But every time I'm fooled, I'm like, ooh, a new cool brand is coming today. Yeah, I mean, this is very cool branding. It's life with an up arrow. What is this service they're offering? Whoa!
All right, so SBC, the very uncool SBC.
Yeah, so SBC, this isn't exactly this isn't just a cancel culture run amok. The SBC's origin story actually pretty ugly. It was created in 1845 as the pro-slavery reaction to the Northern Baptists. The Northern Baptists were part of the abolitionist movement in the U.S. They wanted to outlaw slavery. The SBC wanted to keep slavery.
I'm sorry, bro. Hey, Chris, you're telling me. It literally just hit me, bro. You telling me, bro, that this it started a whole religion, they split over slaves. I knew that, but that's just crazy to think that it was that core to their perspective. They was like, look, I ain't worshiping with y'all no more. We keeping these Negroes. We got to have these slaves.
Well, it was
our God-given right.
It was very explicit. And you would think, when you think about it, when you hear the name Southern Baptist, you're like, yeah, anything that has the name South in America, you want to be a little, that goes, you want to look into why it's called that. And in this case, it is kind of what you think. Before 1845, black people, including slaves, were usually allowed to attend Baptist churches. Baptists, but they were rarely allowed to preach, and membership was controlled by the white men in charge. After the Nat Turner Slave Rebellion, Baptists forbid black leadership outright, and black congregations were not allowed to meet without a white pastor leading or at least present as like a babysitter. But as the abolitionist movement gained steam, it divided the Baptist church, really owing to the force and work of many black Christians who championed their rights in the North and convinced the Northern Baptists to separate. The Southern Baptists finally made their split official when the convention at large refused to recognize their appointment of a prominent Georgia slaveholder as a missionary. So ever since then, there have been these occasional sort of movements like, isn't it kind of weird that we still call ourselves Southern Baptists now? But none of them have really gained a lot of steam. In 2005, a few different proposals were introduced to the SBC to rename it either the North American Baptist Convention or the Scriptural Baptist Convention. Scriptural Baptist, you could keep the SBC, Scriptural Baptist Convention. Voters did not approve of either name. In 2012, voters did approve the name Great Commission Baptists, which SBC churches can now voluntarily use, but the legal name is still Southern Baptist. So if you're SBC and you don't like the word Southern in it, you can use Great Commission Baptist with the blessing of the convention at large, but that's not the actual official name of the denomination. But now more members and leaders are rethinking the value of the name. And now a prominent historian within the SBC, a guy named Nathan Finn, has come out with an essay on why he believes it's time to change the name. You can be directed to it over at relevantmagazine.com. But he has a lot of points, and it's not all just based on the historical context around. There's also the fact that it's weird to have a nationwide, really at this point, global church called the Southern Baptist Convention, which is not limited to the South in any meaningful sense anymore. But of course, the roots of the movement are the biggest and most troubling part of it. So that's the movement around it, which is a lot bigger than just kind of this isn't just a cancel culture thing. This has been happening for a long time. And
do they have any name suggestions that might happen?
Great Commission Baptist appears to be kind of the favorite. People like Great Commission Baptist.
It's not edgy enough. Well. We need more action in it.
Yeah,
we need more
forefront, a new inspired community.
What about the We're Not Racist Anymore Baptist?
Yeah, I don't think they would go for that.
That would have to be accurate. That would have to be true.
So this is.
Did you cover this on the Relevant Daily?
I did, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I'm a faithful listener to your show, Tyler. There you go. That's on
We're
the
grateful
network.
for every listener.
Yes. But you listed out some of his points that he gave, and they are very, very valid. And they're not just points of, okay, so they have, apologized for what happened, in 1995 or something like that?
I believe, 95 was the year the SBC formally apologized.
Exactly.
For.
So
it took them 100 years?
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while.
So that happened, and so that's even one good reason. But he had a lot of just even like logistical good reasons. Like, why do we have churches in Canada that are part of the Southern Baptist Convention? So I think that he had some really great logistical reasons as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons here. There's one very glaring one, obviously, one very big one. But there's also just, like you said, like practical reasons that it no longer makes sense.
Unless it's qualifying like a type of food, like Southern fried, flounder or something like that.
Sure.
Southern's usually a red flag when it's in a name. And listen, I was born in Norfolk and I live in Virginia. So I'm saying that as I'm not saying that as someone like looking down on the South. I'm just saying, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and change that name.
Yeah. So that's part of the move. There's no petition or anything to sign yet.
And it seems like if their impulse was Scriptural Baptist church, I love even that the SBC finds ways to throw shade at other Baptists. Like, are you part of the Baptist church or are you part of the Scriptural Baptist? It's cool, whatever. I'm just wondering if you're part of the Scriptural Baptist church. Yeah.
I also want to talk about, and this is something pretty serious and pretty startling, actually. And I do want to put a little bit of a content qualifier around this because we are going to talk about self-harm and depression. I know that can be sort of difficult for some people to hear about. But as the death toll of COVID-19 in the U.S. hits 170,000 with few signs of slowing, it's easy to stay focused on that, on the death toll and the sickness, and obviously the economic fallout fallout. But there is one new study that shows the toll that this is taking on all of ours, not just people who catch COVID-19, but all of our mental and emotional well-being. Shocking new study shows that young Americans are taking this particularly hard. 1 in 4 young adults, according to the CDC, young adult here is between the ages of 18 and 24. 1 in 4 have contemplated suicide in the last month because of the pandemic, according to the CDC. Which is that's 25% according to this survey. And it's not just young adults either. 22% of essential workers say they've considered suicide in the last 30 days, along with 31% of unpaid caregivers. So people who are looking after someone in their home say they're also considering self-harm. Black and Hispanic respondents are also reporting suicidal ideation above normal levels. So really, really bleak. Obviously, America struggles with suicide rates anyway. We have unusually high rates of suicide in this country that have only been going up, but the pandemic has dramatically increased those high above normal levels, and there's really no signs of slowing down. 31% of respondents here say they reported feelings of anxiety or depression brought on by the pandemic, so they don't consider themselves anxious or depressed usually, but they do now. And about 13% have reported turning to alcohol or drugs to cope with some of the stress of this pandemic. So really stark study, and it's kind of difficult to know what to do with any of this. But it's very, very sad and concerning, obviously, about the future.
Yeah, this is, I think, a moment. I was talking to somebody the other day about I'm hesitant to say like, on the bright side of this thing, because look, this is a pandemic that's killed hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And so I don't want to frame it in those terms, but I do think we're going to come out of this with the ability to talk about mental health in new ways. Like, I feel like it's sort of, in a way, not forced, but it's put the conversation more at the forefront, because I think for a lot of people who may not have had struggles with mental health or emotional health, I feel like it may at least give those people a deeper understanding and sort of emotional appreciation for what that's like. And, if there is hopefully something positive that at least comes out of this, it's that it makes conversations about mental health and isolation and anxiety and depression normalized, so that, people have an outlet to discuss it without having to turn inward or turn to, self-medicating or worst case scenario, self-harm.
Yeah. I saw this study as well, Tyler. And, I think September is actually National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And so it's going to be a conversation that a lot of people are having. I recently heard an interview with Dr. Anita Phillips. She's a mental health professional, really, really wise woman. And she was talking about how this pandemic, coronavirus, how it has brought trauma into a lot of people's lives that didn't have a word for it. Actually, like, oh, this is traumatic that everyone's going through. It feels like, I'm not going through trauma. I haven't gotten COVID. Nobody in my family has. We both have our jobs, but everything has changed. Everything has changed in our country. Like, nothing is the same as it was, in February. And that brings trauma on people. And so people who already have a tendency maybe to struggle with mental health, this is just like layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. So it is a conversation that's worth having. And I think about too, like, my kids just went back to school this week, and it's all online. And so, although, we live in Texas, so they're going to football practice every day. Don't worry about that. But we're online school. And even that trauma for young people, like my high school boys, who aren't having this interaction in classroom. And it's just, everyone's dealing with so much weight that they might not have normally known how to name it even. And so, man, I know you all would say this too, but I just want everyone to know, like, it's okay if you need to go see a therapist, a counselor. Like, I know on the Relevant page, y'all have like hotline for suicide prevention, all this stuff. Like, we need to be telling people about that. It's so important.
I broke down and had a therapist. I had to get one because I've always somewhat wrestled with depression and PTSD, but I never really addressed it. I was too busy. You know what I mean? I'm on the road, I'm traveling. And then also the big thing is when when you start to slow down, you have to look at your thoughts. Like you have to be with your thoughts. And at first, especially the first 2 months were crazy because I had never had that much open time to sit with my thoughts, to wrestle with, the highs and lows of life. And, for me I take a lot of pride in being a provider for my family. So, not touring and all those different things, I had to wrestle through self-worth and all that kind of stuff. Right. And, I had a breakdown and my mom had to come help with the kids and I had to go see a therapist. But guess what? Everything is okay. We're fine. Yeah. Like, and I think that's what happens with the stigma of having therapy or being honest about your mental state. Like you can't go forward if you're not honest with yourself about your mental state. And it's okay to get help. Everybody needs help. We all need help. Yep. Like, sometimes our friends are our therapist or our pastors are our therapist, but we all need a place to be able to lay our burdens and not feel judged. I think Christians especially think that, Jesus is just going to magically whisk away our cares, or we feel guilty for even having those cares. Like, man, I'm not being a good Christian because I'm burdened. And it's like the Lord never said that you wouldn't be burdened. He just said you could cast your burdens on him. So anybody that's struggling, it's okay. Look, I'm telling y'all, I'm on the other side of getting some therapy and, and it's okay. I'm still here. I'm normal. Like, hey, God, you wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have told you, so it's okay, guys. It's good. And
I think it's also, you, the person listening to this, you're going through about 3 or 4 global crises right now.
Man.
And it'd be weird if you didn't need a little bit of help with all of this right now. Like, I don't think any of us are doing well, and that's you're not just stressed, you're not failing, you're not falling apart, you are enduring a really traumatic era, an unusually traumatic era, and you should be asking for help with that. Derek has, I have, and I think more of us, if we're going to get through this, which fingers crossed, it's not going to be because we all toughened up and then put on our big boy and big girl pants and got out there. It's going to be because we took this seriously and went to people who had the resources to help us get through that. And like Jamie said, we do have links to some of those resources on the site right now. I'd encourage you to take them up on it. Therapy is great. You talk about your problems for like an hour. It's fun.
I have a counselor that I might see like maybe once a year, during COVID. I think I've met with her 4 times. I'm like, okay, just everyone's going through traumatic things right now. It doesn't matter who you are.
And the other thing too, I mean, this is also another opportunity to try different sort of like self-care practices, there's been so many people I talk to, like, I know for me, I've like rediscovered just going for a walk, like literally like before quarantine, it'd be like, wait, so I just leave the house and start walking,
right?
But where's the destination, but now it's like, hey, in the, sometimes early in the morning or in the evening or whatever, it's like, oh, because I mean, obviously we're limited in the places we can go and the things that we can do. And you realize like I remember talking, and Tyler, I think you may have interviewed him recently, but like, John Eldridge about he writes about just the power of a 15-minute walk. This was pre-COVID. But just how, he had kind of discovered something that basic that really is like just little things that you can do in addition to, seeing a counselor and these kind of different self-care practices. There are different things you can just incorporate into your day too, that I think, this kind of unfortunate season we're in has at least allowed some of us to kind of rediscover.
Yep. Do you know what's dope? Meditation is freaking dope. Like anybody that if you've
talk about that, because I have a couple of friends who said they've started meditating and they seem lighter.
Yes.
So talk to me about what you mean when you say meditation, because like growing up in the church, it's kind of like, okay, you should do your morning quiet time, devotionals, prayer, worship, 10, 30 minutes, whatever. Is that what you mean by meditation? Or is there some sort of weird Eastern tantric thing that you're doing?
No, not at all. So, first off, again, like we talked, the Bible is an Eastern book. So those practices people meditated in the Bible. Like, let's just make that clear. The Bible even literally tells you to meditate on scripture, right? So meditation in itself is nothing wrong with that at all. So I think one big issue for Christians is we feel like we understand the tools that the Bible has given us more than we do. And I had to come to grips with the fact, maybe my quiet time isn't as rich as it could be. So I had a friend, Prop, told me, he said, hey, you should check out the Calm app. And I downloaded the Calm app, and literally they ask you, what are your goals? Stress relief. And there's like eight different goals, and I just highlighted all of them because I'm all of that. So, and they put together a plan, and I'm not getting paid for this, but they put together a plan. And, you could say daily, midday, or nightly routine. So if you're having trouble sleeping, there's a nightly one. If there's a morning one, and you want to get your day started. So, and me being a person that I'm only self-reflective when I'm forced to be self-reflective. But what this has been, maybe 10 minutes of quiet, to have little ocean noises in the background. And then there's a lady that just kind of coaches you through your thought process. So she might say, hey, pay attention to your breathing. Close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, pay attention to your breathing, and just be. And then maybe give you an encouraging word on conflict resolution, or it's okay to let your brain rest. And having those reminders of good things where it's like, yeah, your brain is a muscle, it should rest. Or, hey, meditation is great because, obviously when we sleep, everything's resting, but then also focused resting of the mind and saying, I'm focusing on clearing some junk out of my mind. That is what's made me feel so much lighter, because it just reminds me like, okay, if there's a conflict, I don't have to escalate. I can de-escalate that conflict, right? And so that's what it's been for me, and it hasn't been weird at all. So
for you, previously, you mentioned like you were just busy, and it was almost like maybe your activity distracted yourself from self-reflection, and now you're having to slow down and deal with stuff that you didn't, and now you're actually going a step further to be intentional about mindfulness, which is really an interesting progression for somebody with your personality type.
Yeah, even my Bible time was busyness. Like, that's the thing. Right. A lot of times our quiet times are not quiet. They're busyness.
Right. It's accomplishing something. I got to do this task. I got to
accomplish this. Like, it's not inward focus on, let me focus on myself and being healthy. It's, all right, let me knock out this John, and I got to get something from God, or let my prayer time, I got to call down the heavens, or I got to, have this, it's a doing thing. But meditation is more about what is your breathing like? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts like? And then purging those things. And I think that it's been beneficial for me. Like, I can definitely say that it's been beneficial for me.
I need to try that, because like for me, obviously we're all in the same boat where we can't do the same amount of busyness that we used to. But I find that I numb my mind by binge watching TV shows, or just always having TV on or something. Like, I'm rarely like intentionally quiet. I fall asleep to the TV. Like I'm just, and I don't know that I'm like trying to avoid anything. I think at this point it's just become habit, but like, I like what you're saying. Like, I want to jump into that too. It sounds difficult, honestly, at first, but
my first meditation session, I asked myself, why have I not been doing this every morning? Because it was, I can't really explain it for me, but I guess it's the idea of I've never had a chance to really just listen to myself breathe for a second. And I think because it's that hustle in me, every time, you listen to my intro, entrepreneur, rapper, mogul, wow. Like, all of those things take so much effort, and I never really thought about myself. And then what happens is, you create some self-destructive practices, right? When you never think about how to take care of yourself and self-care. So I'm trying to get better.
You mentioned going on walks, Jesse. I like to do that. It's really calming for me to go out and walk or run. And normally it's a time where I'm like, how many podcasts can I get in? Like, I can listen on speed and a half or 2 double speed, and I'm just going to knock them out. And I'm going to take in all the things. And I started, it's kind of like, Derek, you found that. I found this app called Pray As You Go. And it really is like, makes me kind of take those first 20 minutes of my walk, and it's like music and then scripture and then talking about praying. And it has helped me make those walks, because before I'm like, okay, I'm going to go walk. I'm going to be in nature, but I'm going to be productive. Like, how much can I get done on a walk? But now it's like, okay, I'm going to go on a walk, and I'm actually going to like stop my brain from taking in podcasts, and I'm actually going to take a moment to rest with scripture. And so it's been really good for me too.
The other day I was like driving somewhere, and when I got in the car, I was like on the phone, and then when the phone, so I didn't like turn on a podcast. Usually that's the first thing I do. It's like, all right, what am I listening to? But just because I was on the phone, and I like hung up, and I literally just didn't think, like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be intentional right now and drive in silence, but I just forgot to turn anything on. And like, I don't know, 10 minutes down the road, I'm like, why is this so pleasant? And I was like, this is just silence. This is just like feeling like, remember when I didn't have a device that I could wirelessly put into my ears that would inject sound into my brain all the time, like, oh, this is kind of nice silence,
Well, there you go. All right, well, that'll do it for
it's the hot list. It's sizzling.
For more stuff like that, go check out what we're covering every day at relevantmagazine.com. We put out a lot of content. Stay tuned. Up next, it's the Belonging Code.
I am alive here, but I am not permanent. I am reminded by my pain, but I must remain here until no more life remains. Oh, won't you take me inside?
You're listening to Jack Garrett. The song is Return Them to the One. The word one is capitalized in the song title, so I'm assuming they mean Jesus. Well, today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is something preventing you from being happy or achieving your goals or keeping you from experiencing peace? With the heaviness of all that's happening in our world right now, it can be difficult to find purpose and joy, and that's why there's BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You connect in a safe and private online environment. You can start communicating in under 24 hours, and you'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. To top it all off, it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. Financial aid is available, and services are available for clients worldwide. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a Relevant Podcast listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/relevant. You can join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/relevant. Well, the Belonging Co. is a worship band based out of Nashville, Tennessee, with a mission to empower listeners through worship. Since 2014, the band has been creating songs that inspire our generation to draw closer to Jesus. Our very own Tyler Huckabee sat down with worship leaders Natalie Grant, Andrew Holt, and senior pastor Henry Seeley to hear their hearts behind worship. Here's part of our conversation with the Belonging Co.
Just for the past 3 weeks, actually, we've been live. But before that, we were recording worship separately. And, it was like, God, we were having some of the most insane, amazing encounters with God in those moments when it was just us and the team, the camera crew, the guys on the media team, and walking away going, oh my gosh, like that was amazing. If we, I really hope that translates. And it does. God's been so faithful. And we've been reminded like God's presence is not confined to four walls. And it's not confined to a building. It's actually just wherever we allow space for him to move. And so the testimonies we've gotten back of people having encounters in their house, around their TV, in their living room with their families, and even just the spontaneous moments that have come out for us as a team during worship have been so powerful. And I think there's something to be said of just allowing God space and also just saying, God, we're here to bless your heart, to worship you. there's no one else in the room at the moment. And someone might watch this in a month, but right now we're just going to bless your heart. And that's always going to translate, always going to translate. We made a joke at one point, the audience of one,
I've always said, that's such a clever thing to say until you actually are challenged to prove that that's what you mean, that you're sincere about it. This has been that opportunity, right? To be audience of one.
In a world living upside down, you turn it right side up, you turn it right side up. Nothing better than the love I found. I'm dancing in your light, I'm dancing in your light. 'Cause nothing else can satisfy. You are the prize, you are the prize. You're all I want for my...
The first 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it, I've got kids, my husband, we're all standing up. We're not going to sit down. We're we're going to engage. We're going to be in it. And then, because you think, well, this can't be going that long. And then you're 6 weeks in and you're okay, well, we might just sit down. And then 12 weeks in, you're got your popcorn and still in your pajamas. You're okay, we actually have to challenge. I have to challenge myself to stay engaged. And then you realize, okay, we can do what we can do on the other side, right? To lead everyone, but it's still, everyone has to make a decision to engage. Right. And, as a church, I think that's even for me going, okay, how do we continue to encourage our people to engage? And they've been doing a really beautiful, powerful job of it.
I don't think we were created to live in isolation. I don't believe it's God's plan. In fact, that was right back to the garden. If you want to take it, back to the Bible, when Adam and Eve had a moment where basically they opened the door to sin in their life, what it did was essentially in them awaken this thing that they wanted to isolate from God because of shame. And I think, for a lot of people, isolation, it brings out the worst of us, when we've got nobody speaking encouragement into our lives and nobody, just getting around us and supporting. And not that it's all about, it's a two-way street. I think that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of the church, is that when we come together, it's not just about, and it hopefully shouldn't be about, just listening to somebody on a stage, with a microphone in their hand, or watching some people on a stage sing some songs. But it's actually a two-way interaction of, we're encouraging each other. Even I know, as a pastor, preaching in my basement for a few months to literally nobody in this room, and just staring at a camera, there was an element to that was almost soul destroying. I have to be really disciplined in my mind and my heart right now. But even just these last few weeks being back in a building, and obviously our church is not open, but we've had just our staff there and some team, socially distancing and wearing masks and all that sort of stuff, doing the right thing. But just being in community with people, even just a handful, what it does for you as a person, what it does is for you as a preacher, it just shifts some things in your life. And I think just even, being on your own, you can just so easily just focus and fixate on your own problems, your own things, your own fears, but being back with people, even if it's not physically in a room, but just having those conversations. And this is, again, what we've encouraged our church to do, just be intentional about our interaction with people.
That was The Belonging Co. Make sure to check out their new album wherever you get your music, or find out more at thebelonging.co.
I'm like a snail, you're a guy, kinda mad, I can't fly. Wanna stay, hide away, or come out when it rains. Like a snail, you're a guy, kinda mad, I can't fly. Wanna stay, hide away, or come out when it when it rains.
You're listening to Benet. The song is Snail. Okay, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
All right. So one thing that is, I feel like we're approaching a point in kind of where we are with global quarantine or global quarantine measures, where the content, avalanche that we've all been kind of living under for a long time, where new stuff is coming out all the time. That is going to soon be slowing down pretty dramatically because productions have shut down. They're already, delaying the release of movies, but, outlets like Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon have shut down a lot of production. So even though they've been releasing new content pretty consistently throughout quarantine, that's soon, kind of be coming to a close, or at least it's going to be a much more measured approach, and we probably won't get the big scale stuff. And so Netflix, though, they're not giving up. It's official. They have run out of ideas, apparently, because if they're not doing programming, they're just going to release features that no one ever wanted, no one asked for, and I have a very hard time seeing anyone use. You may see when you log into Netflix in the next couple of weeks, a shuffle button. So how it will work is you can choose from 3 different shuffles. You can have it can either be shows or movies similar to ones you previously watched, titles in a certain genre. So you can pick your favorite genre, or content that you'd already saved on my list. Again, this seems like the most useless feature imaginable. Like, I kind of like scrolling Netflix. I kind of like seeing what's going on. I couldn't think of anything worse than just hitting a button and something randomly starting to play that I didn't ask to view. It reminds me, you guys, growing up, did you guys ever have like those big boom boxes in your room? Like, remember back in like it was like they would have like a giant CD changer on top. Okay. Yep. And that you would put in, I can still hear the sound of like that cheap plastic, like moving as your CDs kind of spin, or a tray would come out and you would load your CDs up. And like, the philosophy of those boombox makers was, let's put as many buttons on here as possible, like stuff that no one's going to use. Like, a CD has 10 songs on it. I don't need to hit shuffle. It's just going to shuffle the order of 10 songs. Just let the album play. Like, it's not like I got a very deep well we're going to here. I heard there was a comedian I heard do a bit about the old Discman. It was the same way. It was just like random buttons on there. It's like, what does the bass boost button do? Like, are you telling me like standard mode, they're not boosting the bass enough? Bass boost needs its own button, or like on those old boom boxes, you could, again, I'm assuming other people, they look like the speakers on those things look like they were from like an alien ship from the future. And even if you had the lights off in your bedroom, it looked like a disco party going on because they would just like flash random stuff up, and like you had like a knob you could turn to be like, are you listening to disco music, to rock music? And it would like alter the settings a little. I feel like Netflix has got to that mode where it's like, we don't know what else to do. So we're just going to start adding features. No one will ever use them, but at least we feel better about ourselves because we're adding something for users to do.
Are they the ones that did where you could like log in and watch, like have a watch party?
No, you can. So how does that work?
You haven't heard about this? Am I breaking news to you, Jesse Carey?
Bring it.
Oh, well, now I'm backpedaling because I'm thinking, did I dream this or did it really happen? Like, I literally think that you could do like some kind of watch party and your friends could log in and join and y'all could somehow watch something together.
So basically kind of watching something on Zoom together.
Right, which that sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
No, I think this is true, you guys. Yes, Netflix Party is a new way to watch Netflix with your friends online. Netflix Party synchronizes video playback and adds group chat to your favorite Netflix shows.
Oh, now that's useful. I ain't gonna even lie.
Yeah,
that's kind of
okay.
Dope.
So the random player. So you're telling me I'm in my bed and I'm watching Blackish because I'm binging the show right now.
Yeah,
and it finishes an episode and it's going to put on like random show when I want the next episode?
Well, no. So it's not going to do it automatically. You have to hit the shuffle button.
Oh, okay, I got it.
And then it'll just bring something else up in the queue. But again, like I understand that for like a playlist, right? If you have like a big playlist of music and it's like, I kind of want to mix up the order, I hit shuffle.
Yeah.
Great. That's a logical use of an application like that, right? But I don't want them just to randomly start showing me something. Like I said, it's just we ran out of ideas and they're in the old boombox model where we just start throwing random buttons on there and hopefully people think there's more random weird things this gigantic obnoxious boombox can do. It must be worth more money. I feel like that's where Netflix is with the shuffle button.
The only time I've ever used the shuffle button on any device is on accident.
Yeah.
Like that, really? It's on accident. Like, man, I want to hear the album, how the artist wanted it to be heard.
You and I are exact opposites.
Yeah,
like literally every day, the way I listen to music is all these playlists and stuff. I hit shuffle every day. I don't want predictability.
Cameron,
I do shuffle too sometimes.
Cameron, what was your take on the old bass boost buttons on old school 90s boom boxes? Like, a button that will boost this bass.
If you give me the opportunity to boost the bass, I'm boosting all the bass. I'm on the EQ. I'm full smile mode, full smile on the EQ with the bass boost.
So you don't put any mids? You just scoop all the mids out?
I might do a W depending on the style. But dude, I was the kid in high school, like early 90s white suburban kid with the 15-inch kickers in my trunk and my 10-disc CD changer listening to like Miami booty rap, with the bass cranked.
I need to throw something out there. The thing that I think will age the worst from when we were growing up, and something that I think will just baffle Gen Z and below forever is like, yeah, man, dude, I had a sweet, especially ones that grew up with Spotify, right? It's like, yeah, I had a sweet setup. I had a 6-disc changer in the trunk, right there, just tucked away, totally sleek.
You had to go change your CD player in the trunk.
It's like your trip, dude, I got this new album. You got to hear it. Hold on, let me pull over real quick to the rest stop, pop the trunk, pop it in, and then it's you avoid speed bumps. You're, dude, I got a 6-disc changer. You're gonna scratch them all up. What are you doing? You can't hit a speed bump.
That's funny.
You have like shock absorbers on the stereo. People are gonna think like this is the best that they could come up with back then. Like to put a CD changer in the trunk of a car.
That 10-disc, that 6-disc was life changing because it's almost like you listen to vinyl now, which I'm really into vinyl. I mean, half a side, 4 songs in, you got to go flip it. You got to change it out. It's a lot of work. When they gave us 10 back to back to back, or you could shuffle through them all. Come on.
Well, and the other thing too is like, well, what happens if you want to carry around a lot of music? If it's like, it's easy. I get this big Trapper Keeper thing with a zip up. I got like 500 CDs in there.
Dude,
it's like a full album. Yeah,
I had multiple of those 600 disc Trapper Keepers in my car, and my car twice got broken into, and those all got stolen.
My buddy had his car stolen, and the police eventually recovered it, and the car thieves had taken his CD book, but accidentally left theirs. And they actually had pretty good taste in music for car thieves. And he's like, honestly, it was like borrowing my car for a free music upgrade. And I feel like I got a pretty good deal here. And we rocked that music collection for a long time. Like it was only fair, I feel like the Netflix shuffle button is the most random, weird quarantine idea since Jesus talk.
Jesus.
That's a professional segue right there. All right. What do you have, Derek?
So, my favorite rapper, favorite artist.
I like the caveat every week.
I love this.
This is out of love. I'm bringing this out of love. Yeah.
What? So he says, man, hold up. Matter of fact, I'm just going to read the tweet, man, because I don't want to butcher it. A vision just came to me. Jesus talk. I was watching TikTok with my daughter, and as a Christian father, I was disturbed by a lot of the content, but I completely love the technology. So this my man Kanye says he doesn't want TikTok, he wants Jesus talk. I never in my life thought that Kanye West, my favorite rapper, was gonna be a 2011 Christian rapper. Like, it's like this is like the stuff that we used to say like back like 10 years ago, which is actually kind of dope in the sense of just the innocence of just like, he has that. But I'm like, man, bro, ain't nobody gonna watch Jesus talk, bro. It ain't gonna work, dog. Like, I know you the GOAT, bro. And if anybody can make it happen, you the GOAT. You probably could get, but better than it's not finna happen, big dog.
It's like back in the day, like YouTube broke out, so then they started GodTube, or Netflix broke out. They PureFlix.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay,
like. We have to create our Christian bubble that's safe from the outside world, apparently. There's a whole stream of Christianity like that. You know, the sacred is scared of the secular. And obviously, relevant, that's not our worldview. It's about to be in the world, but not of it, you know, but okay. There you go.
Here's what I think, though, about this. And again, I remember a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Kanye, and I said, hey, do you guys follow Kim Kardashian? And and Cameron, you said this. You said, no, I would have people coming at me if I felt like,
no, my purity filter would be triggered.
Filter would go off. So here's my question. I follow Kim Kardashian, and I would not want my daughter or my sons to follow her.
Okay.
And so I'm sure Kim is a lovely person.
Absolutely.
But it always feels weird to me when Kanye, in this particular instance, is like, hey, I was looking at TikTok, and there's some stuff on there that I don't want my daughter to see. And yet I don't want to throw anyone under the bus or bash anyone, but I feel like his wife also puts stuff out on her social media that I don't want my kids to see either. So it feels a little weird. Does it feel weird to you guys? No?
I mean, I think that Jesse, you brought this up. I mean, he, in his own family, there's somebody who's gotten famous based on the sexualization of her image. And then he's going this other way of like being very conservative and that tension is a real tension. And I mean, Derek, you've talked about, like, I wonder what that tension is in their family dynamic as parents.
Yeah.
You know,
they might be fighting that tension at home. I mean, so I'm not like saying Kim is a bad person by any means. All I'm saying is the content she produces, it's very much what Kanye's saying. I don't want my kids to see. Right.
It is an interesting thing that now it changes your perspective when you become a parent. Because he even said as a Christian father,
absolutely,
he doesn't have a problem being on TikTok, but now I'm looking at it through the lens of what my kids are going to be exposed to. I mean, my son's 10 and he's on TikTok, but we chose to treat him very maturely and sit him down and talk about what's not good about TikTok and like kind of come up with an agreement together about him choosing, because we're not going to be able to like monitor him, look over his shoulder all the time, but that he'll make the choices of following the right kind of people or his friends and not looking at the Discover page and things like that. And we're just trying to build that kind of like trust and conversation. Like, let's bring it out to the light versus let me put limitations on you and then you try to get around those limitations. Let's try to build trust, because I wasn't raised that way. I was raised no secular music. You can't do this. Man, I'd just sneak out. I would just sneak the secular music.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the bubble perspective is oftentimes the bubble becomes because the common denominator in the bubble and outside of the bubble is the people, right? So sometimes the Christian bubbles are more ratchet than outside of the bubble. Like, I remember, you know, at some of these strict churches growing up, that people was like, they have like the little, you know, all right, it's Halloween night and harvest party, right? So we're gonna have a lock-in at the church, and this kid's having sex in the back room at the harvest party or whatever. So it's like
dressed up like Moses, probably. Dressed up like Bible characters.
Dressed up like, you know what I'm saying?
Mary Magdalene.
Let's just say there's something extra sinful about fornication if both people are dressed as Bible characters.
I mean, you know,
I feel like you're really pushing it there. Like, okay, I understand everyone's got hormones going, but
they dress like Jacob and Rachel, and they going to work. So I'm like, that's the issue with the bubble thing is after a while, the common denominator is the people. So what's best is, in my mind, is rather than doing Jesus talk, and then there's some dark thing happening on Jesus talk somewhere, like we got to teach our kids how to be able to interact in a world that is relentless at stealing their purity. Like, it's relentless at fighting to take that from them, you know?
What invariably happens is, obviously, we need to be wise about what we allow ourselves to be exposed to. Human nature is going to go and kind of look for the thing. So I don't want to make it easy for my son to find, so we do have filters on his internet browser and just wise stuff. As a house, we do. I mean, for me too, I'm not above temptation in that way. So like we do stuff like that, but his friend has a phone that doesn't have the filter on it. So we need to talk about why, not just the rule or whatever, but the why. And so that's what we're trying to do. And I just think like, you look at like the Amish, they're so locked down, and then these kids grow up and then they go have a year of being crazy, Rumspringa or whatever. And then it's like that's not a healthy, balanced way to develop spiritual maturity and your own moral standards and things like that. I mean, I think we need to, teach our kids and teach ourselves how to be in the world yet not of it, and like make wise decisions for ourselves and for themselves. And it's like, to me, it's not creating bubbles. It's not. Yeah. Being scared of the evil. It's like, well, let's talk about the evil. Let's talk about what has Christ called us, how he's called us to live in this environment, and what's right and what's wrong and why,
or you wind up taking a drunk selfie of yourself with your pants unzipped, thinking that you have black water and then you call drunk to the doggone radio show and say you're gonna be a good boy in your apology. Like that's what the bubble gets you. Like,
it's true, but it's just that's what it creates Pharisees is what it does. And so we know Jesus is like, hey, I look at the heart, man looks at the outer actions. And so as a parent, I want to raise kids who are gonna make mistakes, and I know they're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna teach them about grace and how much God loves them in spite of that. And I don't want my kids to think, oh, I need to be perfect and all those things. I mean, at the Ivy household, we're pretty slow with technology, really slow. Like my 7th grader just got a phone yesterday, and my 7th grader just got a phone on Tuesday, and I'm getting right now my phone's blowing up with just like emojis coming at me from her. She's so excited. But like, we just want to help them learn, and we do it slower, but we're throwing them in too. It's hard. It's really hard to parent right now.
And I think with the technological changes from when we were kids, like, they're easily exposed to so much that can grab their heart, like almost be oppression on their life. If a kid gets exposed to pornography at 10, 12 years old, that could change his trajectory. You know what I mean? So as parents, you want to protect them from that. And I get where Kanye's coming from, but we gotta figure out that balance. It's not a pendulum swing to the far extreme where you keep them in a bunker and don't let them get exposed to the world, because they're gonna go crazy one day. So like figuring that out. And every year is a new challenge. I mean, like, technology is changing. It's a moving target. To me, it's about conversation. To me, it's about keeping these kids in good spiritual environments with good Christian friends and good influences, and trying to teach them the right way and model that for them,
Yeah.
But I'm still team Kanye. Look, Kanye, just letting you know, bro, I'm still team Kanye. I just don't know if Jesus Talk gonna get it big.
I'm going to put this out there.
What's up?
If he's wanting to partner on Jesus Talk, I'm down. I am in Kanye. And I'm not going to say I'm a big tech expert. The most highly advanced technical item in my house growing up was a boombox that had a bass boost feature. But
my thing is like, Kanye, why don't you flood TikTok with Christian content?
Wow, that's a good idea.
Other people could get exposed to that in that environment, because they're not going to come to Jesus Talk. Shouldn't we be putting Sunday services on TikTok? Shouldn't we be bringing, the word to TikTok? I mean, that's my thing. Like, when they created GodTube after YouTube was a hit, it's like, put this content on YouTube, man. Get it out there, anyway.
The other thing too is, I mean, the rate of acceleration for technology always far exceeds the ability for technology to be self-regulated, right? So I mean, technology is going to be just move faster. I mean, that's just how it is. But I do think too, down the road, we'll probably see something equivalent to like what the MPAA does for movies, or it's not like a government organization, it's self-regulated. It's the Motion Picture Association of America that puts in some sort of rating system, so at least consumers, in that case, most likely parents, are well informed. You saw the same shift in video games. It took a long time, but now when you go buy a video game, there's a rating on it. So at least there's some degree of awareness.
And the App Store is the same way. Like, Cohen's account can't download apps that are above PG. you know?
Yeah. So it's only I think too, it's only a matter of time before some of these, major platforms adopt some sort of age regulation. I think getting smart with technology too. And as a consumer, pushing brands to make features you actually want, not like a shuffle option on Netflix, but like features that would actually be useful. Yeah, I feel like, flex your consumer, I think that's the other thing too, is like, I think consumer habits are what cause brands to self-regulate in the first place. If they know that people are going to leave their platform because they don't want to run into objectionable content, I think they'll find a solution that's better than branding and just throwing like Jesus in front of a talk. You know what I mean? Like at least TikTok makes sense. I get it. It's quick, like a ticking clock. Like I get it. TikTok, it's Nancy. Jesus talk doesn't even make any sense, Kanye. I feel like that wasn't a fully baked name. Like even if you want the religious TikTok, I feel like we could probably come up with something more catchy than Jesus talk.
I mean, there's a way that you can put, like you said, consumers wanting to have a little bit more control of what they're exposed to. With music, we're a very music heavy household. We're always playing music here. My son loves music, but we are an Apple Music family and not Spotify, because Spotify has no ability to filter explicit content. Apple Music does. So I know that Cohen's in there listening to the new DaBaby single, but he's hearing the radio version. He's not hearing the Spotify version. Right. And for some reason, it's a little bit better for me as a parent, but I don't even want to hear that stuff. So like, we're just playing music, whatever. I don't want to hear foul language while we're making dinner. So like, we're an Apple Music family. So having choices as consumers, I think, is a big thing too. What do you have, Jamie?
Okay, speaking of Kanye, is Kanye still running for president? I don't know, but we do know who is. Actually, he is. Okay, well, we do know who is running for president. And right now, earlier in the week was the Democratic convention, national convention. And next week is the Republican National Convention. And, there was a poll that just recently came out that has talking about how are white evangelicals going to vote in November. And, I think that we could all say that was a really big help in our current president winning in 2016, because it said that I think 81% of white evangelicals voted for President Trump in 2016. But now we're seeing a little change. There's a new poll that just came out from Fox News, which this is what Tyler said in his little Relevant Daily, that whatever you fall, Fox News, they do have a good polling department. So here we go. It says that it's showing that Joe Biden is capturing 28% of white evangelical vote. And that's a 12-point leap over what Hillary Clinton got in 2016. So when Clinton and Trump were running, Joe Biden already has a 12-point leap over where Hillary Clinton was in 2016. And that means a 60% vote for Trump, which is down where it was. So we still have a long way to go in our election. And what is it? August. We're not voting till November. But this poll is saying that it looks like there might be a higher percentage of white evangelicals voting for Joe Biden this year than that voted for President Trump back in 2016. So I thought that was interesting.
Like double. The percentage is double, which is an interesting move. It wasn't that case when Obama was running. And it definitely wasn't that case when, the last election. It's interesting. Yeah.
When President Obama won in 2008, he got 26% of the white evangelical vote. And so it's very interesting. And I think we're going to see that that's going to be an interesting road up to November as well.
You said it's 28% who says that they plan on, of white evangelicals, they plan on voting for Biden.
Yeah.
Well, I think also what we also have to remember is just if someone plans on who they're going to vote and an actual vote, we're not always going to see the same thing, and so the numbers can be a little bit not deceiving, but just can, keep that in mind as well. But that's what a new recent poll just came out and said.
When I saw that headline, I saw it being shared and I thought, that's it? That means 70, what else does need to happen for there to be less, a degree of disparagement between that, where that voting block, I thought at this point, it seems like because of a lot of things, but mainly because of some of the the way that the discourse has become, I thought it would be a more even split. But
no, dude, I read a thing literally last night. I sent it to Tyler. I think it was New York Magazine, did a follow up at Liberty about the Jerry Falwell, being on indefinite hiatus, and so a reporter went to the campus and interviewed some students that were there, and they all to a T said. All the ones that were interviewed said, we think it's a good thing. The damage that was being done to this great university based on one man's actions was not something that I want reflective of my degree and whatever. So we support it. Then the reporter asked them about their political views, because obviously Jerry Falwell Jr. was very in the Trump camp. And every one of the students that were interviewed in this piece said that they are very bothered by the actions of Donald Trump, but most likely when they vote in November will vote for him because of life issues, because he's the only candidate that's anti-abortion. And so they feel like their hands are tied, that I'm going to vote for life, but I have to I have to kind of hold my nose when I make this vote. And I would say that there's your 70.
That is exactly what it would be. Yes.
Out of the 72%, I would say that's the majority of them. There's probably a pretty small sliver that say they just drank the Kool-Aid and everything he does is God ordained. There's a very small sliver of that. But I think most of the voting bloc is the pro-life thing. Yeah.
But a note of nuance there too. There's an interview going around recently. Joe Biden is a practicing Catholic, and and he has said on record that he personally believes that life begins at conception, but he doesn't believe his personal opinion runs counter to what he believes the correct thing to do politically is, which is that it should, in his opinion, abortion should remain legal, even though he personally believes that life starts at conception. Though he's personally pro-life, from a policy standpoint, he is against abortion regulation.
Yeah, it's
just a degree of nuance, not what I'm saying. Like,
what's interesting is this happened, in the two elections with Obama. It seemed like in the audience that Relevant talked to, more younger Christians and things like that. It seemed like there was a lot of momentum, at least our vantage point, based on anecdotal feedback and social sharing and engagement of content. It seemed like there was a groundswell of support for Obama in those elections among younger Christians. But the exit polls showed that 83% of evangelicals voted for the Republican candidate, and that the percentage was similar, if not even higher, among Christian millennials. And it was because the younger generation of Christians is more pro-life than their parents. Mm-hmm. And they're more morally conservative than their parents as far as it comes to life issues. And that when they got into the voting booth, while they agreed verbally and before the election, they agreed with Obama on a lot of issues, that the exit polls said that when they got into the voting booth, they couldn't cross the lifeline, and they voted Republican, which was shocking.
But that you would get in there and go, okay, I have to stay true to what I believe to be my moral code is to be pro-life. But I'm always having the conversation with people of I'm pro-life, but I'm pro-life in every area, not just the unborn, which I think that's a conversation that more Christians need to be having. Is if I'm going to be pro-life for our people on the border down here in Texas and Mexico, the immigrants, if I'm going to be pro-life for the women who are in the county jail here and they're in there for, the smallest drug charge, I got to be pro-life for everybody, or else I feel like you're just talking into the wind, because you're going to make a decision based on just one thing when we have all of these lives in America that I don't necessarily see our administration caring about as much as they should.
I'll share feedback that I received in 2008 from mentor Rick Warren, you can't fault Rick Warren. I mentioned him on this podcast before. He said to me, we were talking about the definition of pro-life in 2008. And I was like, it's like, we need to change the conversation to more holistically talk about it as life and human dignity. And if you were to talk about life, you need to talk about systemic poverty, preventable disease, unjust war and violence, the climate. Climate refugees, the poorest of the poor, are the ones most affected and dying because of pollution, and also defense of innocence. So from the womb to trafficking to whatever. If you were to define pro-life biblical Jesus issues as those 5 buckets, 4 are on one side of the aisle and 1 is on the other side of the aisle. And so if you are a mindful Christian voter, you have to wrestle with that. I'm not saying where you land, you just have to wrestle with it. And it's like, and I kept saying we need to like talk about like a holistic definition of pro-life. And like Rick in his way of doing simple phrasing and acronyms go, yeah, it's not pro-life, it's whole life. And Christians should be whole life and stand up for life and human dignity. And that doesn't fall neatly in one party or the other. And if you think it does, you're naive. So
that's right.
And
we have to have this conversation as the church.
And the other thing too is, I mean, if you look at the issue of abortion specifically, you know, I do think we need to have a holistic view of pro-life, but there's also, there's a lot of studies that I think people would find surprising when it comes to the correlation between access to abortion and then the actual abortion rate.
Yeah.
You know, just because you make something illegal or restrict people's legal access to it does not mean that they're not going to have access to it one way or the other. I mean, there are lots of substances in this country that are regulated or made illegal, but a lot of people still find a way to use. And, you know, and I'm not saying, and even like pot and stuff like that. I mean, it's legal some places, but in some places it's an extremely regulated substance. It's also found everywhere. And I'm, you know, people can develop their own ideas about what they feel like the best way to support kind of pro-life causes are, but there are correlations in the reduction of the abortion rate when you see access to some social programs, whether they be through, you know, there's some Nordic countries where when a mother gives birth, she is given like a large kit of supplies, of diapers. Like it actually converts into like a little, it's not like a crib, it's like a little sleeping box for the newborn. There's also, you know, there's you when you look at studies that look at mandatory maternity leave and social support systems so that actually having children and raising children, there's like when that's highly valued in a society and there are programs to support, mothers and young families, there's that has an impact on something like the abortion rate too. So if you're looking kind of objectively about numbers, there's a lot of factors that often people don't necessarily take into consideration because they're so fixated on whether it should be legal or more highly regulated, when there are also a lot of factors in the equation that can make a difference when you look at the overall abortion rate. Now, again, people can make their own decisions, but I do think there's a degree of nuance when you're actually looking at numbers and what happens around the world.
And that's where my frustration comes in with this conversation with the religious right, because at the same time that you want to say I'm pro-life, but then, like I said, oh my God, remember we just got out of protest about black people getting killed. Mm-hmm. And outside of the movement, it's like, but that's different, right? Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, let's just boil it down to the abortion issue, right? You're pro-life, but then you're like, but the government doesn't need to spend any money on mothers, right? So they don't need to give mothers 2 weeks paid vacation when they have a child, or give them maternity leave. Mm-hmm. We don't want to spend any money from the government to help people with prevention and things like that. So you can't have both. You can't say I want to get rid of abortion, but then at the same time I don't want to uplift mothers. Like, it doesn't work that way. You got to pick one or the other. So, but they want to say, let's make abortion illegal and let's not give. Most people they don't think about giving mothers support, and that's what bothers me, because I'm like, well, then what winds up happening is that young 16, 17, 18-year-old girl that has that child, she winds up sticking a hanger up herself and hurting herself, and mutilating a child, right? Yeah. Or takes a bunch of drugs and the child may not even die, may come out mutilated, or these back alley abortions. Like, when I started looking at, because everyone is like, everything's hyperfeminism. And yeah, absolutely, I think we do have a hyperfeminism movement. But when you start looking at some of the reasons, some of the issues that actually made people become pro-choice, it was because women were actually they were unsupported, and at the same time, they were actually dying at a really, really high rate because of this issue. So it's like, okay, if you're going to be let's be pro-life. But if you're going to be pro-life, then you need to be pro-government helping support women to be able to have children and also exist in this economy that you need both parents working.
Yeah.
Like,
which I think too, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've read a study that there are actually fewer abortions done when we have a Democratic administration because of the more opportunities that women have to get help that they might need to raise their child. You know, this is what the last thing I'm going to say about this is I interviewed a woman, Holly Hayes, and she said something I'll never, ever, ever forget. She has had a handful of abortions. She said she was walking into the abortion clinic and there were just Christians picketing, yelling at her, calling her names, all the things, baby killer, everything. And she said this. She said, I had my abortion. I felt terrible. When I walked out the back door, there was nobody there to help me. So she's like, Christians, you're going to yell at me when I'm coming in, but I'm coming out and I've been through something traumatic and nobody cares. So it's like this whole issue of we're just going to yell at you and tell you that you're awful and here's where we stand. But yet no Christian was there to take care of this woman who needed help, so much help. So it was like this agenda that was just, we're just here at the clinic to scream and yell and make you feel bad. On your way out, we're done with you. We don't care about you anymore. That's not pro-life. That is not pro-life. That is not caring about that woman as much as you cared about what she was doing. So,
All right. Well, that'll do it for Slices. Man, stay tuned. Up next, Sam Collier joins us.
So today's episode is brought to you by Charis Bible College. Charis is all about focusing on educating the body of Christ about who God is and who he is in his saints. Charis Bible College equips saints for work of the ministry, training disciples to go out and share the gospel with the rest of the world in the way God has uniquely called each individual to do it. I got to talk with Charis's student life activities manager, Clay Caldwell, about what makes Charis a great option for students. And the first thing I wanted to ask him about is what sets Charis apart from other Bible colleges?
Every class is designed around the Word of God, being the truth. And for me, it's just really finding out how much God loves you. And that truth will set you free from so many different things. And I think it's like the best foundation, no matter where you are in life, like with a transition. We have such a variety of students. We have a pretty good 18 to 24 demographic of students that are kind of coming out of college, or before they go to college, they come and do a gap year or do all 3 years. And then we have a lot of retirees that are finishing up their careers and trying to figure out, what does God want for me next?
Obviously, a huge part of the college experience is the connections that you make there, the people, the friends that you make, and those friends who last with you your entire life. So I asked Clay about how those connections impact people who go to Charis and how they continue to see those shape their lives years down the road. One
of the good things about social media right now is being able to connect with people that, I went to school with and just still continuing. We have an alumni department that is kind of really trying to do the best to keep us connected in ministry and business. I know a student recently lost his wife. And so the community has just really surrounded him, and there's so many stories of that where you can see it in our Facebook groups that are, continuing after class is over, when you finish Charis, move on and do whatever God's called you to do, that next step, but seeing people come around in the good times and bad.
What about people who hear this and they like the sound of what they're hearing, but they're like, well, I don't really want to be a pastor. I don't feel a call to ministry. Does Charis still have something for them?
Absolutely. Yes. I said this for the first and second years, getting your foundation and your identity is just so key to do whatever you want to do. I just see faces of Charis students that are, that I've seen that come through and graduate and what they do now. It is a great place to come get your foundation to whatever it is that you want to do in life. We have a business school, media. We have a worship arts, a creative arts, which focuses on theater. We have a practical government. If you're interested in either just knowing more about how the Constitution works, or if you're interested in being in the government and in that sphere of influence. Again, you talked about this and asked me about how the friendship base. You never know what divine connections that you're going to make coming out of the lifestyle that I lived before I came to Charis. It's opened up so many doors. being here, getting the foundation here in Colorado. I mean, there's just so many opportunities for spiritual growth, and then it's just beautiful here.
To learn more about Charis Bible College, head over to their website at charisbiblecollege.org. That's CHARIS BibleCollege.org. charisbiblecollege.org.
You're listening to Washed Out. The song is Time to Walk Away. Well, Sam Collier is a pastor, speaker, and writer. His first brush with the public actually came through the Steve Harvey Show, where he and his twin sister were reunited to their birth mother on TV. It was one part of a long journey that included poverty, rejection, and longing, and it ultimately taught him to trust God's plan for his life. Our very own Tyler Huckabee recently sat down with Sam to talk more about it. Here is part of their conversation.
Okay, so why did you decide to write a greater story? What was the motivating factor? What's the story behind the greater story?
For folks that don't know a little bit about the story, we were on the Steve Harvey Show and reunited with our biological family for the first time after 25 years. And they lied to us on the show. And I told us they didn't find anyone and said, we're just kidding. Your mother's here. Me and my twin sister. And so we show that clip in the speech at North Point and talk about just the grace of God and how He can take your mess and turn it into a miracle. You know, our story started in poverty and extreme poverty and a little bit of prostitution and dad addicted to crack and drugs and left the picture. And then we get given up for adoption. My mother had 3 kids at age 21. Then she had 5 kids when she had me and my twin sister. And so she gave us up because she didn't have enough money to take care of the 3. So anyway, that's kind of the story and how, we kind of unpack that whole moment.
This is obviously a super personal story for you and very difficult to tell. And it probably would be easier in some ways for you to just not tell it, to not have to go through those old memories again. Why did you decide it was so important for people to hear about all of this?
You have your plans and then God has His, Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I never even thought that it would be a thing that turned into a thing until I told the story for the first time and people started telling me how blessed they were by it. Yeah. And, it's been 6 years since I was on the Steve Harvey Show. Me and Steve connected about 2 months ago again over the book. And he said, I'm going to buy 500 copies. He was just, which was it was awesome to reconnect with him. But, after people started responding to the story, and after these 5 or 6 years and people still respond the same way to it, it doesn't matter who I send the story to or how long it goes, people cry every time they watch it. It's hard. It's still hard for me to watch kind of that moment. And I think the energy coming off of that and the hope that it provides that if God could do this for me, that He can do it for them in terms of just turning a mess into a miracle. The fact that He can even do miracles, just us reuniting like that is just, anything's possible with God. Now, He doesn't do everything we want Him to do, right? Mm-hmm. We know that. Mm-hmm. But the idea that anything is possible and that He is a redeemer and that He can redeem and that He can, well, let me say it like this, and that He does tell the best stories is something that made me want to tell a little bit more and said, I need to get serious about this because I think people are being impacted.
You read a lot in the book about the feelings of being rejected, rejected by other people, rejected by yourself, rejected by God. What are some of the misconceptions you found that people have about rejection?
A mentor of mine said people leave the faith for two reasons, and both of them have to do with unmet expectations. Either we make a promise for God that he can't keep, or we think something about God that he is not. And therefore, he does not meet our expectations. And we feel rejected, right? Or we feel a certain way, or we feel like God doesn't love me. He's not for me. If he was, then this would happen. And he said he was going to heal me, and he didn't heal me. Or he said he was going to provide, and this didn't happen the way I thought it would. And so, I think a large part of faith for me, the deeper I go into it, even theologically, as I do more deeper theological studies, as we get ready to pastor and I preach and do some other things, the more you get comfortable with the idea of not knowing everything about God, because the deeper you go in learning about God, the more you discover you don't know about God, and the more you discover you may never know about God, and the more you discover that your assumptions about God were probably off. And so for me, if I ever feel rejected by God, especially, then I try not to assign that blame to him, because I know that he's not a rejecter. He is he loves us. He's our father. He's our, you can go on a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper. You know what I'm saying?
So what's the alternative to all of this? So what is the right way to think about how God goes through us in our suffering?
I love a theologian that said, I would rather go through this life with God than without him. Of course, it's going to be difficult, but would you rather go through it with God, or would you rather not have him in your life? Sure, he could solve everything now, but he doesn't, but he does give us the strength in the moment to make it through whatever we're going through. And that's the power, that we're not alone. That he's with us in the imperfection if he does not perfect it.
That was Sam Collier. Make sure to check out his new book, A Greater Story. It's out now.
I don't wanna wait for you to give in, I don't want to. I don't wanna wait for you to give in, I don't want to. I don't wanna wait for you to give in, I don't want to. I don't wanna wait for you to give in, I don't want to.
You're listening to Goth Babe. The song is Moments/Tides. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week, for the question of the week, we were talking about the news that The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is getting rebooted as a dark, gritty drama series based on a fan trailer that was made last year. And it got us thinking about other old sitcoms that should be rebooted as gritty, dark dramas. You guys hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, and you also messaged us on IG at Relevant Magazine. Here are a few of our favorites. There's some great ideas in here.
I love that Eric's idea is basically what HBO is doing with Perry Mason, which is like a dark, gritty take on, like a pretty tame detective show. His idea is the Andy Griffith Show, a show about a widowed single father who's a small town sheriff with a loose cannon deputy, and it could get dark pretty fast. Instead of dealing with pie theft and public drunkenness, which, by the way, there's a lot of alcoholism in Mayberry at the time.
Well,
that was his primary job.
It was a dry county.
Yeah, well, going back to our point, because it regulates something doesn't necessarily mean it goes away. But the metaphor of the Andy Griffith Show. But now he has to handle violence and drug use around town. I'm actually kind of here for a dark, gritty Andy Griffith, though. Like I said, it's not that much different than a lot of kind of gritty cop shows.
You know how I mentioned I have TV on all the time.
Yeah,
every night post dinner I have on TV Land, and there's about 6 Andy Griffith shows back to back. I watched the Andy Griffith Show. Like, I love it. It's good.
I love it.
Juan Libro said, given last week's convo, the answer is obviously Alf. Sarcastic alien eating neighborhood cats, hiding with a reluctant family with domestic issues, hunted by cruel government entities, maybe entering into a Nephilim situation with the family's college-age daughter.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of dark stuff going on with Alf.
They went dark and then went too dark. And,
I used to watch Alf. I loved that show.
Alf has a conspiracy theory about his darkness, though. I gotta find it again.
Oh, like for real?
Hey,
yeah,
Jamie,
it's actually.
I found Alf on one of the streaming services and went and kind of revisited it because I grew up watching it too. It does not hold up. Does not hold up.
Cameron pays $10.99 a month for Alf Tube, the only place you can watch Alf. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Alf Talk. I'm starting Alf Talk.
All right. So Ben Stroop says,
"Oh, this is good.
Family Matters could definitely be a gritty reboot. Carl is a dirty cop on the tape, and that's why he can afford to have so many people in his Chicago house.
Okay,
but
it's a nice house.
But Urkel is actually an undercover FBI agent gathering info on the Winslow family syndicate. Mother Winslow is the kingpin.
Okay.
But of course, that's why Urkel has the money and tech to do all the things he does. The time machine, the cloning, the cool juice. It's all part of FBI funds to get the Chicago police corruption machine.
Okay.
This can also lend us some other Winslow questions. I think that would be crazy.
I mean, he keeps going. What happened to Judy? Where did Rachel go? Why did her restaurant mysteriously burn? When Eddie gets roughed up by cops, is it because they know the truth about Carl? The whole show can basically be rewritten episodes, realizing that Urkel isn't a bumbling neighbor. It's just a role he plays to gather info on Carl, who, under Mother Winslow's leadership, is on the take and is a dirty cop.
Well, there is a theory that and again, I'm probably going to butcher. I read it a long time ago, that Family Matters actually is a dark, gritty sitcom because it's a direct spinoff. This is what the theory claims of Die Hard. That after the events of Die Hard, because it's the same actor. Right? Reginald VelJohnson. You guys seen Die Hard, right?
Yeah. I have not seen Die Hard.
Okay.
I'm just going to let you guys know.
Reginald VelJohnson plays a police officer in LA he's at the wrong place at the wrong time. The Takatimi Towers when the night of the Christmas party when terrorists take over the building. And part of the plot of a critical part of Die Hard, arguably one of the most underrated parts of the movie and the parts that holds up the best, is Reginald VelJohnson's character, who is a local LA cop who has sent to desk duty because he was in a violent interaction and he couldn't. And I think in the plot of the film, it reveals that he accidentally shot an innocent person. And they've taken him off the force. He's on desk duty because he's afraid to draw his gun ever again. He feels so terrible. But as we know, in the last scene of Die Hard, he pulls that trigger.
Oh wait, don't spoil it for me. I haven't seen it.
But anyway, so the theory is
it's been 30 years. If you haven't seen it now,
it's a wrap, Jamie. It's over.
Okay,
it's over.
So the theory is something like this: that 10 years later, that he has relocated to Chicago, changed his name, but wants a fresh start on a fresh police force, and he just happens to move in next to some bumbling kid. But if you watch Die Hard, which I did watch Die Hard again this Christmas time, and I did notice not just is Carl Winslow, not just is Reginald VelJohnson playing a police officer. Yeah. He's actually not that dissimilar from Carl Winslow.
Yeah,
it's not an insane theory.
Yeah.
There's so many of these, like the
David. David says Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, which guys, Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. I was always a little freaked out by that show. I don't know about you guys, but it says wherein we realize that Pee Wee is running some sort of secret laboratory to create life from inanimate objects. That's what he did.
Inanimate.
Oh, sorry, I read it wrong. And the unholy things he does to the living to make it happen, like Dr. Frankenstein meets the island of Dr. Moreau.
Whoa.
I used to watch Pee Wee Herman. And looking back, I'm like, that was a weird show.
It was a weird show.
Help, I'm stuck in a chair.
So weird.
Leo, I like this one. Malcolm in the Middle, but wait. The dad gets cancer and needs to make a lot of money quick.
That's funny.
I like it.
Breaking Bad.
I'd watch that. You know what? That sounds like the greatest idea for a TV show I've ever heard. I think that would be really, really good in the era of peak TV. I like Ross put a spin on it. How about something dark and gritty being rebooted as a sitcom? I like this twist. I'm thinking Breaking Bad or Lost. Now that I think about it, Lost may have a gritty reboot of Gilligan's Island. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh, that's good. Last one. Christian Jimselin, I can't pronounce it. It's a Nordic name, says, Webster, massive topics like adoption and multi-ethnic family dynamics, has a lot of interesting points to discuss. That could hold up as a drama.
Webster,
yeah, for sure.
I loved Webster, and if I remember very specifically, we were at dinner one night and I was acting up, and my mom grounded me by taking away Webster. I couldn't watch Webster for a month. That's how much I loved it. And I was
take Webster. Do not take my Jesus Talk login. Do not take my Jesus Talk login. What will I do?
She knew I wasn't afraid of the spankings. She knew I wasn't afraid of that. Webster would get me, and it did. That's all funny. Right. There's a lot more where that came from. Go check out last week's feedback on our Twitter and Instagram. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
All right. I mean, we're just going to do what Jesse just read a second ago. How about this week? Tell us a drama that should be remade as a light, fun Friday night sitcom.
This is going to be great.
Like and how I used to watch Dallas growing up with my mom. Like, how would we change Dallas to a sitcom?
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Or like it's funny because a lot of cop shows you could be like, well, NYPD Blue. It's like, well, that's kind of just Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah.
Hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, or you can message us on Instagram at Relevant Magazine. Well, thank you to The Belonging Co. for joining us. You can follow them on Instagram at The Belonging Co. Also, thanks to Sam Collier. Find out more about his book, A Greater Story, on his website, and follow him on IG at Sam Collier. Well, on that note, we will wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Jamie Ivey.
And I'm Derek Miner.
We'll see you next week. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, check out our Relevant Podcast Network, featuring shows like Relevant Daily, Signs of Life, Unedited, and many more launching throughout the year.
Dude, I got a 6-inch changer. You're going to scratch them all up. What are you doing?
Relevant Podcast Network.